Welcome to Checkpoint. Yeah, I'm really excited to be with you again. It's your host, Dr. Ifeoma Eze, and I'm here with a new episode of Checkpoint. Today on Checkpoint, I want to say thank you, and thank you again to all of you who help us here at Checkpoint. And because of your likes, your shares, your comments, and subscribing to my YouTube channel, our message is reaching a wider audience, and for this we are indeed very grateful. So thank you for all that you do for us here at Checkpoint, and we hope that you do more. Now today we have a brand new episode, and it's something you are really going to love. So I want to encourage you, go ahead and send this link to your friends, your relations, your associates, and your neighbors. Let them all know that it is time for Checkpoint. Today we'll be talking about something that is very, very important and something you should look into. So today I'd like you to go ahead and share this link. Share it everywhere, on all the WhatsApp groups you belong on, to all the friends that you know, all the relations on WhatsApp, all the associates and neighbors, even on your social media pages, all right, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. So go ahead and share it everywhere. And when you do this, I'll be right back after the break to share with you what today's topic is. Are you ready? All right, don't go anywhere, because I'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome back. So today on Checkpoint, I'll be sharing with you on a topic: 10 quiet threats that could be harming your marriage. 10 quiet threats that could be harming your marriage. You know that in this time and in this season, a lot is going on in many marriages, you know, with increase in wokeness, with increase in civilization. It seems that this increase in wokeness and civilization is not actually working out well for most marriages. And that is why I am here with this topic: 10 quiet threats that could be harming your marriage. So it's possible that you've been married for years, but at the time it seems like things are no longer working like they used to work, and because of all that is happening, you do not want to lose your marriage. In fact, you don't want to lose the love of your life. So many years have gone in, and you know you want to have a very beautiful marriage, but there are things that you are neglecting. In fact, the Bible says that this could be little foxes that are spoiling the vine. So you do not even know that they have the ability to spoil the vine, but they are there, and they are actively spoiling things for you. And some of these things might be things that you are doing all by yourself, and you don't even know that what you are doing is inadvertently spoiling things in your marriage. So today I'd like to share with you, whether you're married or you're not married. If you're married, please look into these things. If you're not yet married, understand them and make sure that they don't happen when you get married. All right, so let me share with you. Number one threat that could be harming your marriage is taking your spouse for granted. I have said this a million times. Don't take your spouse for granted. Many of us, because we've been married for so long, because we've been married for many years, we assume that, well, he or she, he will not leave me, she will always be there for me. You know, he has made so many sacrifices, and because of that, he won't go anywhere. She already has investment in this family, she has kids, and because of this, she's not going anywhere. Now, this is exactly how you begin to take each other for granted. Now, if you want to avoid taking each other for granted, you need to actively learn how to appreciate your spouse. You need to actively, that's why I use the word actively. The fact that you appreciated him yesterday, the fact that you appreciated her yesterday does not count. You have to actively appreciate him and appreciate her, because when this appreciation begins to fade away, effort to make this marriage work disappears with it. And this is why you have to be sensitive. This is why you have to be intentional about the person you are married to. You know, love cannot afford to be one-sided. When love is one-sided, over time, that love ceases to exist, because the love says, oh, I've been taken for granted for too long. Don't just say you love your partner. Show your partner that you love him or her through the way you behave, through your actions, through your intentionality, through the way you listen to them, and through the way you are able to pick out the needs they actually have, despite when they say everything is fine. So never take your spouse for granted. many of us have, in fact, we have made this habit a natural thing for us. We assume, well, he would always provide, well, she will always do the cooking, she will always do the cleaning, well, he will always do the protecting. But listen, even if they have agreed to take up their roles in that marriage, it is your duty to actively appreciate them, actively and make them feel like they are seen. All right, tell your husband or your wife, I see you, I see the sacrifices you are making, I see the things you bring to this marriage, I see the effort you make to make sure that we are whole, that we are okay, that we're fine, and that our kids are doing well. See, this appreciation is so essential if you must have a very beautiful marriage. All right, let's continue in this mode as we talk about the second threat that may be harming your marriage. The second threat that may be harming your marriage is letting devices replace your presence. Wow, this looks like the first one, but it's not exactly the same. In the first instance, you know that they are contributing a lot. You know they are doing a lot to make that marriage work. You know they are putting a lot of effort, and you are not appreciating them as you should. That is why they feel taken for granted. But in this one, you are simply letting devices to replace your presence. So you rather do a video call, you rather make a video message, give a video message, you rather watch Netflix, you rather spend time on your phone or social media. You know, devices. You wake up with devices, you sleep with devices, they are beside your bed, no room for intimacy. You are constantly scrolling through to see who is checking on you and who is not checking on you. You don't even put down your phone during a conversation. So the conversations go on while you are scrolling through your phone, and you are prioritizing your screens over shared emotional moments. And this has the ability to chip away at your closeness, to chip away at emotional bonding. And couples should be intentional about remaining bonded emotionally, because if you take some of these little things for granted, they have a way of eating away at your marriage. So you have to be very intentional about it. Let your boundaries be clear. Know when to let the devices go. Know when to cut out device time. Know when to tell yourself no more scrolling, no more going through the Facebook and the Instagrams and the TikToks and the YouTubes and the Twitters. No, tell yourself this is not the time for it. All right, you have to tell yourself, because if you don't, these devices have a way of controlling your entire existence. They can take away valuable time from you. In fact, if you want to understand what I'm saying, just hold on to your phone and don't check the time. Just be busy scrolling from one video to another video, from one text to another text, from one post to another post. Before you know it, it's already half of the day or more than half of the day. That's how you know that this thing is chipping away at our time, at our life, at our closeness, at our bonding. And you don't want that for your marriage. This is why you have to make sure that you maintain your emotional bondedness and never let devices replace your presence. Be present with your spouse, be present with your husband, be present with your wife. Don't allow all those Z Cinema, Telemundo and stuff like that take away valuable time from your relationship. Make sure that you are looking into the eyes of the person that you say you love and figuring out how best can I love this person much more. Because love in marriage is not supposed to end. Love in marriage is supposed to grow, and it's expected for it to grow stronger and better over the years. And this is what I tell a lot of married people. Most when you're in a restaurant, for example, and you take a look at people coming into the restaurant, it's usually easy for you to differentiate people who are just in a relationship about to be married and those who have been married for years. Now, people who are not yet married seem to have more fire, seem to have more spark, seem to have more life about them. But those who are married, they just treat each other anyhow. They come into a restaurant, they make their order, and they are on their phone till the food comes. And when the food comes, they focus on the food. They can even be eating the food with one hand and then be on their phone in the other hand. And then at the end, they pay bills. forgetting that that moment was an opportunity for them to bond emotionally, not to talk about bills, not to talk about issues, but to talk about they themselves and in what ways they can serve each other better. So this is what I want to share with you on number 2, quiet threats that can be destroying your marriage. Is that okay? All right. So let's talk about number 3. Number 3 quiet threat that can actually be harming your marriage is the lack of physical touch. Lack of physical touch. Now, when it comes to physical touch in marriage, there are 2 types of physical touch in marriage. One is non-sexual touch and one is the sexual touch. So one is non-sexual touch and the other is sexual touch. Now, for the non-sexual touch, it includes holding of hands, hugging, rubbing the back, rubbing the palm, rubbing the hands, and a pat on the back. These are all non-sexual touches. A touch on the face, cupping the face with a palm, all of these are non-sexual touches. And the thing is this: many married people assume that because they are married, every touch should be actually a sexual touch, but that's not how it should be. Now, there are roles that these things have to play. In fact, if you have been married, you will know that hugs have a lot of role to play, even in marriage. Sometimes a long hug, like a 6-minute hug, can actually reduce emotional stress. A 6-minute hug can actually increase your dopamine levels and make both of you to be able to relax. In my family, we consider ourselves great huggers. Like, we are always hugging each other at different times. We don't need a particular occasion to hug each other, and we understand that these hugs have a way of keeping us calm, keeping us connected, keeping us bonded. And if you are married, I would want to advise that you make hugging a pattern. My husband and I make it a point of duty to hug each other more than once every day. So we get to hug each other twice or 3 times, depending on how much time we have with each other throughout the day. So make sure that those hugs, those physical touch is essential in your marriage, because these things have a way of helping your marriage to thrive. Now, a lack of this physical touch is harming your marriage. It might look quiet, it might look subtle, but it has a way of destroying things in your marriage. So make sure that there are hugs, make sure there are kisses, make sure there are cuddles, and when all of these are intact, what happens is that there will be increase in warmth between the both of you. There will be increase in connection between the both of you. There will be increase in bondedness between the both of you. These are the things that can actually help your marriage. Most times we will rather pay money for anointing oil, than get one knowledge that can shift us forward. That's the problem we have in this generation. People would rather pay money for a miracle handkerchief or a miracle substance or a bottle of anointing oil, rather than focus on the things that they need to do in order to ensure that their marriage is healthy and thriving. So this is, please, one information that you cannot joke with. It is essential. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4 quiet threat that could be harming your marriage is what I call guessing instead of talking. Guessing instead of talking. Do you know that many times we end up guessing instead of actually talking, communicating? We want to assume. Listen to me. When you assume, you can assume wrong things. Don't assume a lot about your spouse. Don't assume a lot about your husband or your wife. Please, sometimes just ask them, what is happening to you? How do you feel about what has happened? What is going on in your mind? This situation of expecting your partner, your spouse to know what is wrong with you, you expect your spouse to become a mind reader all for your sake, it's not fair and it's not right. So it's so important, very, very imperative, that you don't assume that your spouse will know what is wrong with you. So you have to intentionally, deliberately communicate instead of assuming. Please talk. Many spouses are not talking. When sometimes they tell you, oh, we've been talking, then ask them what they have been talking about. They've been talking about bills, they've been talking about children's school fees, they've been talking about rent, they've been talking about the landlord and stuff like that, they've been talking about the things happening in their homes. Never do they actually talk about themselves and how they are coping through life and what's happening to them, and these things are so important. So don't sit back and assume that your spouse will just know exactly what is happening with you. Sometimes it is important that you communicate with them. All right, honest, gentle, transparent communication, that is always a better way to communicate with your spouse. Don't assume they know everything. They don't. Don't assume that they will do the right thing. Sometimes they won't. So in as much as they mean well, their actions might not portray what their intentions is saying. I'll tell you this. I remember having a conversation rather, with a particular lady sometime, and she was asking me, how do I even make my marriage work? As in, don't I get angry when he's supposed to do something and he does something else? I told her that in reality, this can offend you, all right? When you expect him to behave in a certain way and he's not behaving in a certain way, or you expect your wife to behave in a certain way and she's not behaving in a certain way, sometimes we can be quick to judge their actions. But over the years, I have learned, and I want you to learn this too, that it is possible that their actions might not portray their intentions. So when your spouse does something, instead of focusing all your energy on their actions, please, can you take a little look into their intentions? Because their intentions might be right. Their intentions might be noble and good and even positive. But then their actions might be saying the entire opposite. So sometimes I know that when people do things, we are supposed to judge them based on their actions. But listen, sometimes if you really know your spouse, judge them based on their intentions. Some of them, they are always under pressure. Instead of doing the right thing, they end up doing what they're not supposed to do, and they know that this was not what they set out to do in the first place. So make sure that you communicate, and this is very, very key. All right, let's talk about number 5. Number 5, quiet threat that can be harming your marriage is letting others interfere. Letting others interfere. Do you know there are marriages where everybody has a say? Family members have a say, friends have a say, the neighbors have a say. Everybody in their life has a say on what should happen in their marriage or what should not happen. And this is in no way healthy for your relationship. If you do not want your relationship to suffer, you must make sure that people do not have a say in what goes on in your marriage. When I talk about people, I'm not talking about your counselors or your marriage therapists or the people that mean well for you, or even your pastors who are guiding you without bias. This is very, very important. You need to ensure that you protect your bond from outside influence. The outside influence is real. People will want to say one or two things about your marriage, about your relationship. They always have an opinion. They always have something to say. But I would like to encourage you to make sure that both of you agree on what you want in your marriage, and the agreement of both of you should be the final say. It doesn't matter what your family think that should be better. It doesn't matter what your friends think should be better. You are of grown age, and you should be able to take the decisions that are best for you. Now, when I say this, I do not mean in any way that you take decisions against your family members, that you take decisions that end up hurting them, that you take decisions that eventually affect them negatively. No, please, never do that. But make sure that whatever it is that you are trying to do, you have agreed between yourself, and you will not allow somebody else to interfere with that decision, because sometimes they can be biased. Sometimes they might not even mean well for you, but you have to be sure that whatever it is you are doing with your relationship in your marriage, that you do not allow people to have a final say in what happens. Does this mean you should not listen to people? No, you should be an active listener. Listen to people. People will save you a lot of problem. I know somebody once said that his greatest problem in ministry was people, and his greatest blessing in ministry was also people. That is the reality of life. People will be a huge blessing to your life, and people will also be the source of the greatest heartbreak you will ever experience in life, and that is natural. That is life for you. So make sure that you are intentionally not allowing people to have the final say in your marriage. Is that okay? All right, let's talk about number 6. Number 6 quiet threats that may be harming your marriage is avoiding conflict instead of facing it. Avoiding conflict instead of facing it. There are many of us who are professionals in sweeping matters under the rug. Oh, we can sweep we can sweep a whole country and continent of troubles under the rug. We feel that when it is under the rug, everything is going to be fine. But what you don't know is that that rug you have been sweeping stuff under, one day you will step on that rug and topple over and have a great fall. Why? Because the rug is no longer as flat as it should be. Things have been stuffed under it. In the same way, you should intentionally make sure that you do not sweep matters under the rug, that you are able to take charge, that you are able to take correction, that you are able to look at the problem and say, oh no, this problem, I'm not going to ignore it. This problem, I'm not going to say no to it, you know. But you have to know that ignoring problems don't make them disappear. Oh, somebody needs to hear this. Let me say this one more time. Ignoring problems doesn't make those problems to disappear. Rather, it stores them up for a terrible explosion. It will eventually explode one way or the other. Therefore, healthy couples should know how to address the issues in their life, address the issues in their marriage head on and with love. So, while we are encouraging you to go out there, make sure that in your marriage you are actually facing conflict, you are actually facing the problems head on. We also want you to know that you cannot decide to say, oh, don't worry, just give it time, it will disappear, I won't do anything about it. That does not also work. You have to actively, intentionally do something about the issue that is at hand. Talk about it, all right? Address the issue. Call the issue by name. Own up to your responsibility. Own up in the areas where you have probably failed, all right? And tell yourself, okay, I did this, I'm sorry about it, it will repeat itself again, I'll make sure that I do better next time. These are the ways for you to comfortably address that issue head on and not go into major conflict. Is that okay? All right, let's talk about the next one. So number 7 quiet threat that might be harming your marriage is neglecting your relationship bit by bit. Sometimes you are even actually neglecting your spouse bit by bit. So nobody really sets out to intentionally neglect their spouse. So how does this happen? It happens by life getting hectic, you being busy, you know, having so much to worry about, you know, there's work, there are kids, and there are responsibilities, and you don't even know when to draw the line or how to draw the line. Gradually, what happens is that this love begins to fade simply because couples stop feeding their marriage or the romance they have in their relationship with small little gestures like hugs, kisses, or making time for each other, eye contact, heartfelt conversations, and thoughtful messages or thoughtful acts. You know, when they stop fueling and feeding their emotions like this, things go cold. It's like a fireplace that there's no fire in. What happens is that there's so much ash everywhere. You know, the fire of their marriage goes cold. And like I've said so many times in my other videos, marriage can be rekindled. The spark, the romance, the love in marriage, all of this can be rekindled. All of this can be refired, as the case may be. So you don't have to give up. You don't have to say, oh, it's not working. You don't have to say, oh, I'm tired. You don't have to say, it doesn't matter, because it matters a lot. Go ahead and reach out to your spouse, all right? Let your spouse know that you really appreciate them and that you're not going to allow neglect of any kind to come in between the both of you. When you do this, you discover that this will help to build your marriage up a lot more. So this is very important. Don't neglect your spouse, neither do you neglect the relationship that you have found yourself in. Is that okay? All right, so let's talk about number 8. Number 8 quiet threat that may be harming your marriage is holding on to hidden resentment. Holding on to hidden resentment. I understand. I really do. You have been hurt. You are feeling bad. You can't believe why he would behave like that. You can't think why she would act the way she's acting. You've been through a lot together. You have stood by him. You have stood by her. But you can't even make sense of the reason why this person will go ahead to behave in this certain manner. And then there is this tendency that when they behave in that certain manner, you begin to rethink the entire relationship. You begin to rethink the entire marriage simply because of that one act. But one act doesn't make somebody an entirely bad person. All right? One misbehavior does not make one person an entirely bad person. You have to learn how to separate individuals from their behaviors. I know that's difficult, right? I am not asking you to do something too difficult, but it's difficult, because sometimes you're not able to separate who is this person from who they are acting to be at that given period of time. So it's very, very crucial that you do not hold on to resentments. I know these resentments can be major in scope. They can also be minor, and even when they are minor, they have the ability to fester. So it's important that difficult topics are not avoided in your marriage, that these things are not looked down upon or neglected, so that you will not end up becoming a bitter person. All right, when this neglect is on, even loving your spouse, all right, showing affection can even look like a chore. But that's not what you want, right? You want an actively beautiful marriage, a marriage that makes you smile and giggle when you're alone. That's what you want. So you have to be deliberate and intentional about it. And this is very, 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 very key. All right? Let's talk about number 9. Now, number 9 quiet threat that may be harming your marriage is that you are living like roommates, not lovers. See, there is this tendency for because you have bills to pay, you have fees to pay, you have burdens and responsibilities, you begin to live as roommates. All right, so your conversation is purely on issues concerning your schedules or your chores. Your dreams and your feelings are no longer discussed. Nobody's talking about how do you feel, or what's going on in your mind, or what do you think, or what do you want. At this kind of situation, by the time a couple gets to that point, there's this emotional distance that has grown between the both of them. And when this emotional distance has grown between the both of them, it becomes a difficult situation. As couples, you are not roommates. You guys are not just sharing a room. You guys are sharing your heart. Let me say this again. You guys are not just sharing a room. You are sharing your heart. You are no longer just sharing a house. You are sharing your heart. And because you are both sharing your heart, you have to ensure that there is connection, there is emotional bond, and that the spark of your romance, the spark of your marriage is intact. You see, one of the things I did not know, I wish I was told before I got married, was that love in marriage does not happen automatically. When we watch movies, cartoon movies growing up, at the moment that boy meets girl and they like each other, they get the parents involved, they get married, the cartoon will always end with "and they lived happily ever after." Well, that beautiful phrase has deceived a lot of people. So they assume that once you are married to the person that you like, life becomes smooth, life becomes easy. There will be no challenges, no difficulties, no confusion, no moment of even regret per se, and this is the problem. So they lived happily ever after is not work free, does not happen automatically, does not happen by magic or waving a magic wand. So for you to be able to live happily ever after with the person you truly love, you have to intentionally work it out. So marriage is not meant to be wished. Marriage is meant to be worked out. You don't just sit down and begin to wish you have a beautiful marriage. No, you have to work that beautiful marriage out intentionally, deliberately, and putting everything that you can into it to make sure that it becomes a reality. This is so important, and I hope you took good notice of this. All right, so let's talk about the final one, and number 10. So number 10, number 10 threats that can be harming your marriage is what I call going silent. And why do people go silent in their marriages? Let me explain to you. It's not intentional. Nobody starts by wanting or desiring to go silent on their partner. But do you know what happens over the years, over the months? She has been complaining about something, he has been complaining about something, and it has always fallen on deaf ears. And because it has always fallen on deaf ears, there is no willingness, there is no desire to keep talking. So what does this person resort to? Instead of actively telling you, oh, this is what he's doing, this is what you're doing that I don't like, this is what you're doing I don't want a repeat of stuff like this. Do you know what they do? They just keep quiet. Now, somewhere in their hearts, they assume that when they keep quiet, what will happen is that because they have shut down communication, they have shut down emotionally, you will be so troubled that you'll be able to figure out what is actually wrong with them. But that is not the case. And do you know that sometimes when this happens, the other spouse, the other partner in that marriage will begin to feel rejected, will begin to feel shut out. And because of that, the emotional connection between them becomes disconnected. So the love is no longer there, the connection is no longer there, and it becomes a huge problem in your marriage. So communication is a big thing. It's the lifeline of every relationship. Without communication, relationships will never thrive. Let me put this in perspective for you. When God came and he met chaos everywhere, a chaotic world, what was the first thing he did? He said something. And throughout the world, we have been able to know that the world was built by the word of God, which tells you that when you look at your world and things are not okay, you have the permission, you have the right to speak the word that you want into that relationship, and it begins to form itself, because the word is powerful. Jesus said, he said, the word I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. They are spirit because they have ability to give life to dead situations. They are life because they have ability to ignite fire and quicken the things that you are doing. So it's so important that you come to that point where you are not just going silent on your spouse, you are communicating, you are giving out words, the words which the world was created. So with your words, you're creating new words for them. With your words, you're creating a lasting legacy for the next generation. And it's important because your marriage needs that communication first and foremost. And if your marriage can thrive on communication, there are so many areas of your life where communication is so necessary. Now, I decided to keep it very brief and short today. So these are the 10 points I've been able to share with you on the very 10 threats that may be harming your marriage. These things, they don't even look like they are threats in the first place. They look like, oh, it's normal, it happens to every family. But believe me, it's different for you. And what happens in one family might not necessarily have to be what happens in your family. What is most important is that you are able to identify what these subtle threats are. And when you identify them, you actively work on fixing them. And when you fix them, everything will be good for it. So until I come your way again, keep making a positive, indelible mark in the lives of people and on the sands of time. I love you so very much. Bye-bye for now. Mwah. Hi everyone, I hope you are blessed by that message. All right, so I want you to just go ahead and support us. If you are led, go ahead and just sow into the account right on the screen.
And I know that as you do that, God will bless you big time. Because of the seeds you are sowing, you will be able to reach a wider audience on different platforms. So please do well to sow that seed, and God will bless you. Love you.